I'm getting.
It's not meant
loot.
as an insult, but this group is burns definitely not as high as Team 1.
Well, I'm DPSing, so that makes sense.
Damn.
It's
Just
painful.
being savage on
No,
yourself.
listen, I've been parsing, like, the whole last week that I was parsing, and just realized last night that I've been parsing with my Charismatic enchant.
Don't worry, I was parsing with a weakening enchant, so...
Exactly, I felt like you for a minute.
Yikes.
Oh god.
Alright, Egg.
Savage.
Just kidding.
You're just gonna grow
I'm
a tree
getting-
right here.
All the loot, if anyone wants to get it with me.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, feel free to go get the heavy sacks in the chest. I am gonna go ahead and call it a night so I can start drinking and getting ready for sleep. Watch your videos, study, be ready for next week.
Okay.
I'm gonna go cry now. Barry, did Des fix your bars?
Huh?
Did Des fix your bars a little bit?
Yeah, he just, all he needed me to do was throw on flies. Everything else was fine, I thought.
Okay.
I don't know,
I said we
maybe I'll
had
do
vines
better.
on, and I was like, don't have vines. Vines is
No,
trash.
that was an accident. I was, yeah, listen, I know better, but that was an accident. Ooh, Master Chest, I want that shit.
I wish it was
I don't-
better than it actually is, but it's actually trash.
It's really bad, yeah. Literally the only time I'll use like the fly to you vines is in VSS. But those weren't I was using the other ones. I wish they were better too, but yeah, no, I guess my bar was fine. He just had me put on flies.
I won't lie, when I healed this, like, hard mode for main team 1, my health was probably like 23, 24.
That's what my yeah, that's what my health is at, like 23, but it got way better when I swapped from Troll King, and I did this on my Templar, and I did it rather well on my Templar. So I think I just have to learn how to ward and heal.
Were you using Troll King, or you were using Earthcore?
I was using Troll King, and then I used Earthcore after like the second death. I had
I
to
used
get it
Troll
out.
King.
I liked it, but I needed that burst hill, just because I was not doing well. I guess I'm better on my Templar than I thought, but this is only the second day of this patch I have played.
Yeah. What food are you running?
Right now, Bewitched Sugar Skulls. I have to get that stuff you gave me.
Get that bear
before.
haunch. Yeah, because
Yeah,
that
I
makes
have to
it
buy
your
that.
health recovery is so much better, and then you really don't have to worry about shit. Like, just keep an eye on other people.
Yeah, that's I couldn't see anything. Like, it was really pissing me off. No, that's the second. This is the second one. Yeah, no, you get.
It's still in the same
There was
master
two
chest.
of them. There's two of them, I swear. I'm not doing it. Listen. Not I.
Not me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, guys. I'm out of here. Bye.
So
Don't get cursed. That's the easiest.
I mean, I'd have to look back at the video to like exactly tell where like you guys were, or better yet, if I got a POV from one of y'all. But if I had to say, basically, just try to. I don't really remember where exactly y'all were when she made the comment, but if you're on the side and Rakat's on my, like, if Rakat's on the pad and you're to my side and she's saying you're pinging her, then she's just too far forward. You're where you need to be. You're basically going to be where Rakat is at all times. Like, I'm going to have to leave early to get to the next pad, right? But you'll basically always tail Rakat with the ads that you have. So, as long as you're doing that, you should always be in the position you should be in. The only big thing I'd say is just try to always keep the Hulk a little bit closer. Yeah. It's all good. So. Hmm. I am. Yeah. Well, the next time we're running this, I'm gonna start. I started doing it in the last poll, or maybe the poll right before it. But I'm gonna pull the Hulk basically to where you want to hold it anyway, off to the side before I jump onto the pad. Because I was having issues where I would just taunt the Hulk, go straight to where I needed to, and he would be standing right on Rakat, and the Hulk pushes Rakat around. So even for myself, it was becoming an issue. So in the future, I'm just going to be pulling him to the side of the pad, basically to where you want to have him, and then jumping on the pad, so that way the Hulk won't really move too much. And that way, for you with the assassins, you can basically just kind of roll dodge them through them and be right on where you should be. You do have to be like mildly careful if you have a lot of shit around, because if you hit inner fire and you almost, my suggestion is almost always to just stare at the boss or like whatever you're targeting, trying to hit with inner fire, and just like try to get a visual confirmation, because you can see it impact and their head will start glowing weird when you taunt anything, right? So that's what I have to do. Like when I was in Vast and tanking that, I would stare at Lothus until I knew my inner fire would hit, or that it had hit, because there was issues for me where I would turn, I'd shoot off inner fire, turn back to Ohms, and I have no idea where they went, because he just wouldn't get taunted. So I just always will track him to make sure. Yeah. 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 You can always, anytime I grab the Hulk, and you have those assassins, you can always take the time to like reposition yourself with those assassins, to get him back to where you want him. Because I try to stay on top of the bashes for the Hulk, but you should have like a split second basically to kind of reposition yourself, to get yourself where you want to be with the assassins, because basically you don't really want the assassins behind, like between the Hulk and the group. You want the Hulk to be taking, if there's any stray like light attack or spammable or anything like that, you want the Hulk to take it. If Rakat's not going to, you don't want the assassins to get hit. Like the assassins will die to cleave alone. So I wonder how people are doing with the with popping orbs properly as a DPS. Like I don't know, but I just have, it's kind of curious for me, because that will help with the cleave a lot, and with the like it got better at the end, but to begin with, the really inconsistent and, for almost a lack of a better word, shit, like placement of orbs was pretty brutal. Yeah. Yeah, it's if yeah, well, what we want to do as for supports, the end goal, I guess, is gonna be at 15 seconds left on a Warhorn, the next person will pop theirs. That's kind of the goal, because if I'm not mistaken, you can up keep that up as long as we all are getting our ulti-gen and we don't like die or anything like that. I think it's 15, so we only should have like 6 seconds of downtime before the major forces back up. Now, like, don't get me wrong, like that's the best case scenario, so it won't always happen, but it's something we should get into. I do know, like, even on the main team, the other main team, we have a bit of an issue where, like, there'll be just stretches where there aren't Warhorns, very similar to how the runs here are, but like yeah, well, it's like I was trying to cover as many callouts as I could today, more than I was doing in the past anyway, and like fucking juggling 30 different things, it's not fun. But basically, if you want to think, so for the Hulk, try to just think of it as you're trying to get him in a position where I don't need to move and I can puncture him. You want him to be like right kind of off of Rakat's. Not his tail, because if it's on his tail, it's on the far side, so I can't really see him. Like, you kind of, it kind of like not the, it's kind of like off his like left cheek, I guess. You basically, you won't, I don't think you'll have like the greatest because you haven't main tanked this, right? Well, if you ever like main take it, you'll get a lot better of an idea, especially on vet. Like, what I mean by like just the slight offset I need the Hulk at, because when the Hulk's behind him, it basically forces me to sidestep like 2 or 3 steps to the right to try to get him, and that can cause issues, quite a few different issues for me. If he starts barraging and like the kiters are coming back, or the runners, I mean, I basically have to abandon trying to grab the Hulk to keep them alive. And then there's always the chance, like if he's directly behind him, I have to go quite far out if I want to guarantee I grab the Hulk. And if I'm not on this pad, he can basically one-shot me, depending on what thing he does. So you basically want it just a slight offset, so that like there, from my point of view, my dream is you'll hold the Hulk like where I can see 2/3 of his body around Rakat's like Rakat's left arm, but like the right side for me, on the inside. Here, one sec. I'm gonna port to you because I'm still in the boss room. So you just want to like I'll put a point of view up, and I'll see if I can take like I'll see if I can grab a screenshot and I'll send it to you of the Hulk being in the position that I mean, because it doesn't actually matter necessarily if I can reach him with puncture, but the idea being if I can reach him with puncture, that means he's offset enough that I can see him and target him, and he's close enough to Rakot that he's going to be getting cleaved down hard. So that's what I mean by like that's kind of the dream if you can position him there, but most of the time you were either like a bit too far to the right, like there would be a gap between Rakot and the Hulk that I could see through, or you would be behind Rakot and I couldn't really see him at all, so I'd have to sidestep out. So it was kind of one or the other typically, but yeah, no, it's just practice, and the more we do this, the more you'll understand like how the Hulk is gonna move around and shit, and so. Well, I mean more like the like nuance of his mechanics and shit. Like you'll the more you run, the more you run it, the more you get used to like knowing the bullshit that happens with him, like where maybe he'll take a side step to the right because of something you did, like his pathing and stuff. Like the more you do it, the more you understand. The more you like that's just in time and practice. So basically, if this altar is Rakot, if you're actually you stand here. Stand where I'm at. So the altar will be Rakot, right? You'll be me. Basically, if I would want the Hulk kind of where I'm standing, like right on the edge of the pad, but kind of where I'm standing. So I only really have Rakot's left arm, like his left arm, in like kind of in my way of seeing the Hulk. Yep. So if I'm the Hulk and get my altar back down. So if I'm the Hulk, I kind of want it here, right? So just his arms in the way, and you won't necessarily be right on the edge of the pad. You could be offset like a couple steps, but you just want to hold him almost. Basically, what you want is the Hulk in front of you and like a direct line into the group. That's what the group should be doing, because that way when they're putting their dots down, they're going to be hitting Rakot and they're going to be hitting the Hulk. So it's just getting that, like, and I can't really try to tell you to shift him at all while we're in there because of everything that is happening. But you want to try to get the distance right, so that his arm is. So if I'm kind of pretending to be you right here, right? So somewhere probably like this off of Rakot, so that he's. It's basically, yeah. It's like if you looked right over your left shoulder, kind of back at that angle. That's kind of the angle I'm talking about. Like not twisting your body, but just like twisting your head and looking over your shoulder. Kind of that type of angle is the angle the Hulk should be at. So I don't really need to move to grab him, and he's still gonna be positioned good. And like for the assassins, in all reality, if you have them taunted, like just that's good. Just don't matter really where they are. They will get killed mostly by the orbs anyway. In all reality, that the only thing they do is the spin to win. Like if you drop block, it will throw you. But if you're blocking, it won't do anything to you. But yeah. Yeah. No, the more we do this, the better we'll all get, so. You have a good night, man. So like the last poll we did tonight. So basically, how it's gonna work? When he goes into middle, there's gonna be a Hulk that will spawn on pad 5, or somewhere over near pad 5. When he goes into execute, you want to be somewhere over there so you can grab him, and then you want to start heading towards pad 2, because when he goes into execute, I'm basically on a beeline for pad 1 for the first orb to spawn, because I'm gonna grab the first orb. You will pull the Hulk, and you can basically kite him around, right? Because you don't need him to be near Rakot. That way, as long as you get the bashes, you just need to pull them towards like pad 1 and 2, because once you get him over there, either I'll grab him off you, or you can just roll dodge straight through pad 2 to get the orb when it's up. And no, so pretend the altar is the very center of the pad. There's going to be like a little glowing orb there, right, that has a tether all the way to Rakot. So those pads are cursed, right? Which is why if you're cursed, you can't grab an orb. But all you do is you go up to the edge and you just roll dodge through it. You roll dodge straight across, and as long as you hit the orb with your character, it will just take the orb. So in regards to Void Avoided, we as support would not touch those orbs, because normally the orbs are our job. Like, main tank gets 1, off tank gets 2, and the healers decide between 3 and 4. It doesn't really matter, but they just get whichever one first, right? After that, there really shouldn't be orbs out. Like, if it's gone really bad, if there's more than 4 orbs, or if it gets to 4 orbs anyway. But after that, it's up to the DPS to be paying attention. Yeah. Yeah, you will get cursed from it, but we have to pick up the orb, and that's basically why we don't want to get cursed at all, and we can't really get cursed, because if you're cursed and you roll dodge to pick up the orb, you'll just instantly explode before you even reach the orb. So if you're cursed going into execute, when your orb, well, even before your orb pops out, you should probably be trying to like at least make people aware, like, hey, somebody get like pad 2, somebody sub for orb pad 2 or something. Just say something like that. Like you don't have to go like overboard or anything, but just like make sure it's said so that people, because in all reality, there's 2 issues I have with the group right now. One, well, okay, the first issue, I have an issue with it, but I don't, because of the fact that the game's bugging, and that's what's causing the issue. Normally, when the runners are in the backyard, their mics should always be muted, because, and on top of that, when you're running back there, the flames in the pots are supposed to disappear when you finish a side. Aubrey's saying they aren't disappearing for her, which is why it's like, it's an issue for me, but it's not, because if they're not disappearing for her, she wouldn't know. But basically, when you're running back there, if I'm running left, I'm counting my shades as I go, because I know which spawns are which for left and mid. So I have a bit of an issue with the inconsistency, I guess, with like how hectic their backyard running is, but it's kind of out of their control, because of the game not really doing too good. And then what was I was talking so much about that I forgot about my other thing. So basically, when they're running backyards, they really shouldn't need callouts for the most part, unless they're really unsure. Then they could basically, in my mind, when I was a runner, I'd be back there, and the only time I'd ever flip my mic on, this is what I would try to do at least. The only time I'd flip my mic on is when I wasn't sure if we were done or not, because it tells you when it's supposed to tell you when you're done back there. But anyway, the other thing. Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing is I almost want, I might ask Dez to do it, to count those shades, because as a DPS, you're almost in the prime position to do it, and he already will have his mic on, because he's raid leading, but we have a lot of people doing callouts, and that's part of the issue, but, when Rakat jumps up in the air, like, it should almost never be an issue for you, because for the most part, you're just going to be perma-blocking. Unless you get really unlucky and get caught by it when you bar swap. But when he jumps in the air, I shouldn't have to call it out. Like that's. Well, so I don't know when he will necessarily do his jump because it's not like a guaranteed after the jump that stuns me, but. If you're looking at them, the two jumps are very different though. Because if you're, I've noticed this quite a while ago, so I guess I have this in my head and I know what I'm looking for quite a while. But when he's going to like knock everybody back, he goes up in the air, he drops like maybe a foot, and then he goes right back up. He never will make that movement unless he's going to knock you back. Any other time he's in the air, he goes straight up and straight down. There's no hesitation, and so that's what I'm looking for. As a DPS, I'm not looking at Rakat. I'm just looking for that hesitation. Like I'm looking for it to go down and up again, and as soon as he does that, I know to hold block. As a DPS at least. So I do think partially it's an issue of people not being comfortable with their rotations enough that they can just like doing their rotation in the back of their head and focusing on mechanics. I think that's part of the issue, but that's just practice again. But so it's mainly those jumps though, because people need to get the blocks on them, like. Like in all reality though, man, like you're doing fine. If like yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. Like it gets hectic. Shit gets hectic. And that's just the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it, and the more, yeah, it's just that in all reality. The more you run it, more comfortable you are, the less, like, I don't know if you, like, get stressed at all, or, like, stress yourself out at all, while you're off tanking it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And probably the only main thing I would say to really look into, because you know about the bashes, so I mean, like, that's just, the more you do it, the more you'll know when you can kind of cheat with stuff, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But just with the savages, trying to make sure they don't shatter the group. It seemed like it went pretty well for the most part. Oh, yeah. So their shatter is just it's not a conal. So if you're holding the savage in the middle, like in all reality, just for like where the double cat pull is with the chains, just grab the savages and go. Get him out of the group, and then you can bring him back in, because even if you're holding him in the group, they are getting cleaved, but we're not necessarily going for like a top of the leaderboard score run type of thing. So you don't need to hold them in the group that hard. You can pull them out and almost take like a couple seconds to like look around and just kind of see when stuff starts dropping, because it's gonna take me like 5-6 seconds anyway to get the Dreadstalkers positioned right with the Shadow Guards. So like in most cases you have enough time to just pull them out, kind of almost do like a couple second lap around, that way he's outside, and that if you do miss a dodge, you're the only one being hit by the shatter. The DPS won't get killed, because if either of us are shattered, the Shadow Guards, when they do their spin, won't kill us. But if the DPS are shattered and he spins, he's just gonna one-shot anybody who's shattered. Mm. Yeah. Just give it like I don't know if I don't know if it makes the noise, like the sound for you if he shatters me. I don't know if that's just for like each of us, but yeah, no, you were good on it. You were grabbing him pretty quick. Like, you can honestly wait even like a second or two more. The big thing is just making sure I don't get the second shatter. That's where it's like really brutal on me if it does. But you don't need to immediately take him off. Like, it's just that second shatter. If I get the second shatter, it's gonna be pretty hellish for me until it runs off. So. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll. Yep. And that's a really good goal. Fucking hell. You've now like extremely impressed me. Because that's the type of raid awareness that is the distinction between like an above average player and some of the truly elite players in this game. Like, having that type of raid awareness. So yeah, fucking hell, man. Keep at it. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So, in most cases, what I would be doing for you, because I'll talk to Dez about if he's gonna do the shades or not. Because for us two tanking, we have to basically twist ourselves and our cameras to be able to see it. So it's kind of awkward for us to do it anyway. So. I'll talk to him about it one of these days before the next runs, and mention it. That way you won't have to do the shade callouts, because I mean they're already inconsistent because we have to twist to look, and we can't always be doing that. But for you, honestly, like if you once you have the assassins, I wouldn't even really be looking in the back necessarily for cats and whatnot. Like it's a good idea to do it, like a quick glance to see if people got cursed. If somebody messed up and got knocked into the center pad, let's say, like it's a good idea to know that, like, hey, let's say Strawberry got knocked back from the thing where COD does the jump or whatever, and she got knocked back and she's cursed. It's good to know, because if she dies, she should be calling it out. Basically, the people that, so if Aubrey or Tom dies, those are the main two. They should be calling it out anyway. Like they should flip their mic on if it's muted and just be like, "Yo, I'm dead," because it's not up to like they shouldn't necessarily need to do it, but they should do it if nobody's immediately like beelining for them, because those cats will be a nightmare. And if the cats are out, don't move don't move the Hulk or the assassins. Wait until you have an opportunity to grab them. That's why I was talking about with the cats for me. Why I was talking about the right side kiters. It's not your job to basically fix their fuck up. If you can, good on you. But those cats, like, they need to get it into a position. Like, let's say it's the back kiter, like back left, right? For you to move it, the Hulk's moving, the assassins are moving, they're going to go towards the group. The Hulk's not going to be in a good position to get cleaved. You have to then chain it in, and then if you don't have talons on your bar, it's just going to run off again, right? So if there's a cat on one of the back kiters, it's almost better if you notice it. Just if you can't grab him, but you can see like a lane or like a lane of vision, I guess, or targeting that. If they moved it into it, you can grab it. Like basically, if like the cats were on the back kiters on the right side for me, and I noticed it, I would shift like 2 steps to the left, chain it in. And if it wasn't there, if the cat was directly on, like, Rakat was directly in the middle between me and that cat, I'm just ignoring it. Whoever has it has to deal with it, because I'm not moving Rakat to go grab the cats, and it's not your job to move the Hulk to go grab the cats. So. Yeah. In that case, when you shift over, if you notice it's too far away and you can sit there for like a second, just tell the kiter to bring it in. Just be like, "Cat's too far," like, or whoever. If it's on Aubrey, just be like, "Aubrey, come in quick." If they wanna get annoyed, then just cool head. Just be like, "Yo, I couldn't reach the cat. You needed to bring it in. I can't move the Hulk. The Hulk needs to stay here to get cleaved." Like, our job first and foremost is like we have like our priority list, right? Those cats are not on any priority list. It's the DPS that fucked up, and that's why they're there. So now we have to try to fix their mistake. If we can't fix it, they gotta deal with it. So like for you, yeah, like if you shift out and you can't reach the cat, just tell them, just be like, "Yo, I can't reach it. Bring it in." If you cannot stay there, just be like, "Yo, bring the cat in like 5 seconds, and I can grab it." Something like that. And that's where it's like, and that's where like you really want to just try to keep a cool head about it, because you can't immediately just jump on stuff necessarily. Like, if something happens and there's 2 or 3 cats in the back, like, you can't necessarily just jump straight on it. But if you can, go for it. If you can't, they have to deal with it. Like, I'm not going to kill myself to go and save them. Like, a perfect example is Vast Hard Mode. If I lose Lothus, I'm telling the off tank to grab him and bring him to me, right? Or to help with it, because I cannot move Ohms. I cannot shift out to grab Lothus as the main tank unless Ohms is either spitting or doing his breath or doing kite. Those are the 3 times where I can go and grab Lothus basically wherever he is for the most part. But if he's all the way in the back attacking the back kiter, like, I won't be able to grab him. I need the off tank to bring him at least more in, and even then I can't grab him until the breath or one of those 3 mechanics happen where I have the freedom to move. So if Lothus is on a DPS, they might be freaking out and be like, "Yo, why the fuck is the mini on me?" And I mean, in the end, it kind of is my fault because I lost aggro for whatever reason, whether it's a good reason or not, like whether it was in my control or not. It is on them, but it's up to them to deal with it, because we can't fix that problem right now without wiping the group. So. just like think you have to think critically about it, because like when somebody calls out that there's a cat in the back, you basically have to run through in your head, am I able to move? Like question number one, can I move? If it's a no, like, well, whatever, I can't do it now, right? If you can move, then it's like, well, is he close enough for me to chain him in? If that's a no, then it's like, okay, now I have to tell the kiter to bring him in, or whoever it's on, right? Or to shift him, because if the cat's behind Rakat and they're telling me, let's say, to chain him in, I'm gonna be like, you have to shift left for me, right? Or you have to go to the wall, whatever comment I'm gonna make, because I can't solve their problem without them helping me, because they're in a position where I can't do it, right? So it's just very much like critical thinking and keeping a cool head, paying attention to it, and it's just you're not in a rush, I guess. Is the best way to think of it. Like, it's if something's about to, because you want to, it's juggling act, right? And if you rush out to try to grab like another ball to fucking start juggling with, like, it's really hard at that point, right? So like, just cool head, thinking through it, and just be like, can I do what they want me to do? Well, like, because I want to try one thing on the first boss the next time we're in here. So when I'm holding him, I'm gonna be as close. I'm gonna tuck myself as close as I can to him. If the DPS are close enough to get cursed off of me being cursed, that's their own fault. I want you to be basically behind me, and you can rove around. As long as you don't get, like, basically from where, because you'll have like whoever's on the right hip over here, right, and you'll have whoever's on the left hip over here. You can basically roam up to, like, as long as you aren't within range to curse him, you can roam up to like this side and all the way over and chain in those cats, because chain in the, yeah. Yep. If you have to go close to the point that you're gonna overcurse people if curses happen, or somebody overcurses you, that means people are too far back. So that's, you do not go through the, unless, let's say the A curses just happened, you just watched it land, right? And there's cats in the back. You could, in that case, shift in quick, if you're really quick about it, run in quick, grab a chain, come back, and you don't necessarily need to roll dodge, but if you're quick about it, go in, grab the chain, and come back. But if you're not sure when the curses are about to happen, like if you're not confident that the curses are not going to happen for the next 4 or 5 seconds, just don't go into the stack at all. You be basically roaming behind me, chaining in those cats. Those, like, the cats will get cleaved down by everything, so we just need them basically somewhere around where I'm at. Like, if it's within range of me talons, like hitting talons, because I put talons on for that first boss, I can't really chain the ads in too well, because I hard target the boss to make sure that I can see his animations for the curses. So I can't really chain the cats too well unless they're really wide out in the back. So for you basically just roam behind me, as long as you don't accidentally run into the pads, but I mean, you shouldn't be that far back. So you just roam behind me, chaining in the cats, and if people are dying to the cats, all you have to say is just for them to come in closer, because you don't. Like, if there's a cat, and this is a pet peeve of mine in this game, like, if there's an ad that's loose on a healer, and they're just running around with their head cut off like a fucking chicken, I can't fucking help you because that thing's running everywhere, right? So yeah, oh my god, you know. Even in, like, okay, so even in Vast, when I eventually got my silver skin, when I was a DPS, I was in lane 1. I was our mag DK, and our main tank died, right? And our off tank also went down at like the same time, and I was sitting there, and I had Olms just staring at me. I think I still have the video on my channel, my YouTube channel. I think it's unlisted, but anyway, it's like a 10-second video of me basically having to dance with Olms, because you can dodge his light attacks, right? But if I was running around everywhere, if he did his breath, because he tried to do his breath on me, but it was only going to affect me in lane 2 because of where he was positioned and staring at me. If I was running around everywhere, if he did a spit, like, only entrance side is going to get it, right? That's because I'm not moving. If I'm running around with my head cut off trying to outrun him, like, I'm just going to cause issues, because even once the tank gets back up, he has to now reposition Holmes, who is notorious for being horrible at getting positioned properly, and, like, it's just the nightmare. So, yeah, it's a pet peeve of mine when I see people run around with their head cut off, when there's something loose that's on them. Like, if it's something that's just going to one-tap you, like, I kind of get it, like, but if it's something that you really cannot afford to kite, because if somebody has, I mean, I guess a prime example, if somebody has, like, the Hulk on them, and they decide to take off for a lap around the fucking room in Rakot, like, if you get picked back up, now you have to try to run halfway across the room to taunt him, and then have to sit on him as he slowly comes and makes his way back to get any bashes, and that's, God forbid, if somehow none of his roars happened while the DPS was kiting him around, so, or healer, whoever it's on. So, like, in most cases, basically the way I think of it is 9 times out of 10, and this is just what I think of when there's an ad that's loose like that, is 9 times out of 10, I'm not moving to that ad, you're bringing it to me. Whoever, whether it's a DPS or a healer, you're bringing it to me, I'm not moving. If I can afford to move, and it's fine for me moving, I'm not going to fuck anybody up, then I will move to grab it. But if there's even a remote chance that I kill, let's say, 2 people, or even 1 person, trying to grab that ad, or whatever's loose, like, I'm just gonna be like, no, you bring it to me. Like, if the Hulk's on, like, let's say the Hulk goes on to Geno, like, let's say you die, and the Hulk goes on to somebody in the group. Whoever it's on, that person needs to be, A, kind of paying attention, noticing they're about to fucking die, but, basically, they have to go to where you were. I cannot afford to move to try to pull them in. Like, I could move technically around because I can reposition Rakot on the pad. But it's a pain. It takes forever, and if he gets if he goes into a bad spot, it just takes forever for me to position him right, and then that fucks you over because it's 10 times harder to place the Hulk right, and even if you could place it right, because if I'm like, if the altar's the center of the pad and I'm standing where Rakot is and I'm on like this outside edge and you're on this far edge, you can't bring the Hulk over here, right? Like, you can't. But and that's where it's like, I can't really move him even though I can. So if, like, the Hulk goes loose because you died, whoever he's on, and in most cases people kind of either get lucky or know what they're doing, because they'll shoot out right towards the pad 0. Because if they shoot left, if they run back towards, like, the corner for the bombs, let's say on pad 3, I won't be able to see him for the longest time. Because of how you positioned him, he's going to have to run all the way around across, basically, Rakot, where Rakot's blocking my vision, right? Where if they go to the right, it'll be less time that I can't see him, and I could even take like a step or 2 to the right, try to interfire him, and then step back so Rakot don't really move. So, basically though, it's, in most cases, it's not our job to go and pick something up that somebody messed up. But in reality, like on the first boss, I think the healers are way too far back. I'm gonna take a look at the POV if I can, but yeah, just basically roam. Basically, you can roam anywhere behind me and you can go side to side. You don't really want to go all the way out because there's no real reason to go all the way out unless you're going for a pad, right? But you can just go side to side, so that way when you chain something in, it's gonna land close enough to me that I'm gonna pop my talons and they're gonna be stuck there. My wings are in my my talons spot, but I would hit my talons to hold them in place, right? So in reality, like on this in this trial, like, I mean, as an example, Aubrey took off. I don't know what it was that killed her on that one pull with the chains. Whether it was my shadow guard or if it was like the savage that she ate like a shatter from or something. Like, I don't know what killed her because she never clarified on it. But in that case, she kind of took off in the wrong direction, because now for me, if it was my shadow guard that killed her, like, I had to roll dodge back and out and then move towards it to grab it. If she kept going back trying to kite it around, it would have, like, I would have basically had to leave it and be like, well, you get to play with the shadow guard until it comes back in range of me, because I have Dreadstalkers I'm positioning. Basically what I'm saying is, if something goes out of your range, 9 times out of 10, it's not your job to get it in range. It's whoever it's after. If it's a DPS or healer, it's their job to get it close enough that you can take it back. It's not your place to go run halfway across a room to go grab something that got loose. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if it don't work, you kind of just have to shrug it off and just be like, oh well, like, I'll do it again, kind of thing, right? Because it's why it does, like, I'm kind of notoriously bad. Like, if my connection goes to shit, and I die because of it, or I'm lagging really bad and I die because of it, and I normally don't die to it, whatever killed me, I'm notoriously bad for kind of running my mouth and getting pissed off. But in all reality, you don't want to do that. If you're able, when something doesn't work, right, if you're able to shrug it off and just make it work next time, like, it'll be good. Yeah. I believe you can chain the assassins, by the way. I'm not 100% on that, but I think I chained one. Like, you went down, they ran off of me, and I think I chained the one. I'll take a quick look at the POV here at some point. I hope I caught that run when I clipped the video. But I'll take a look, because I think you can chain them, and in all reality, like, if you're ever worried about, like, that's what I do whenever we're on the twins, like, and one of my rages or one of my ads are over by you. If it's right near Vishai, and it's not like my ads blocking Vishai from me, I will chain him into me first before I will taunt him, and that's what. And as the Vishai tank, you want to chain your ads in anyway, because even if you range taunt them, they won't come in for you. But so no, yeah. So no, what you do is you wait for the negate to get dropped, right? When the negate gets dropped, you basically have a few seconds. I think it's like at least 8 before the next negate could potentially drop. I don't think it's a set time, as far as I know, but you have like at least about 8 seconds to spend chaining your ads in. So when you drop the first negate where you want it, then when you roll dodge out of your negate, you can basically roll dodge and face Vishai into your group quick and grab chain your ads in then. There will be times where like my ads or like the skin rye, I'll be holding him in a spot and one of your ads will be in the worst spot possible and my guys will be blocking him. In that case, you just leave him, wait, and if you can't get whatever ad, you just go back. After the like 8 seconds, you want to be back in position for the next negate, and when he drops that negate, you have another 8 seconds. And basically the idea is you chain in a couple ads, and if there is one that's in the way, I should notice it in time that by the next time you go out from to chain in ads after the next negate gets dropped, I should have my boss and my ads out of your way. Because I basically I hold them and try to hold them in the same spot. And then when your ads drop in, I'm trying to get my ads out of the way and my boss out of the way so you can just chain them in. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, and that's basically the timing. Like, you'll never be able to really get your unless like DPS are chaining ads for you. You'll never get your ads in before like your ads on Skinrise side, like on my side, before they will start doing mechanics, like where they put their hand into the ground or whatever, and those orbs shoot out. That's up to the Skinrise side to not die to them, because it's very, very hard for you to get those ads in quick enough that they won't do it. If you're able to, all the power to you, but it is not the easiest thing in the world. And if my ads are in the way and I have to move my boss, like you basically are fucked. There's nothing you could do to try to chain your ad in to get him in. So basically you eat that first negate, and as you're moving, the best way, like if the more you do it, the more you're gonna have like that like timer in the back of your head of like, hey, this mechanic should be happening about right now. Yeah, and that's the more you do it, the more like that will get refined to the point where you'll be pretty close on it in most cases. Like, just trust your instincts. If you feel like the negate's about to happen, like get back and get ready for the negate. But yeah, basically you have enough time to at least, like, if all three of your ads, let's say, are like exposed and you can see them, you have more than enough time to roll dodge out of the negate and then chain those three ads in and then position yourself for the next negate. You have enough time for that. If you have to like move around to be able to chain stuff in, like, then you might not be able to get them all, and that's fine. It's just the big thing is right in the end, when the prayer phases are happening, if you do have any ads left, we want to chain them into the middle as best we can. So you want to try to get it in the middle, that way it's not off to one side or like right on your boss, let's say, because that way like both groups can focus the ads. You don't want to cross over the line and get blown up or be right on the line, because that line is not very consistent. So like if the altar is the line, like, and the line's going like this way, I probably wouldn't get any closer to the line than like the distance I'm at now. But chaining any ads in here, like even if it is like half a roll dodge distance away from the line, is close enough that the team on the far side of the line from the ad can just take like 2-3 steps and hit it. And that's kind of why you want it in the middle. That way, if like the ads didn't die in time, both sides can focus it and not just 4 or 5 DPS and hit the one ad. But yeah, no problem. Yep. If if you have any questions on your point of view when you look at it, just feel free to send it to me. So.